You are now talking to me, calling me Madam President. There was a time when I was a terrorist. Because that's how I was seen by those they did not wanted what I was doing, because what I was doing is right, fighting for the independence of Namibia. So then I become a terrorist. So you shouldn't worry. The people, they know what is the truth. So they can always label you in order to discredit, in order to discourage. But the most important thing is to know that you are doing the right thing, and then you remain focused, you will succeed. To say that if Netumbo takes over in Namibia, there's a danger because she has a mentality of liberation. Why I fought for the independence of this country politically, and what I wanted now is the economic independence of Namibia.
Yes, here we are. Hello, Africa, brothers and sisters. In this video, you will hear things that you never heard before. Please do not skip the video. Watch it from the beginning till the end.
Now, I'm sure you've received a lot of questions about the fact that you are one and two of the female presidents in our continent, but I wouldn't want to waste your time on that, Madam President. I want us to look at geopolitics. I'm sure you have seen that there's been a lot of turbulence within the geopolitics space. Now, I want to find out from you, where do you see Namibia's place amid these changes in the global order?
First, Namibia is part and parcel of the global village. We are part of the international community, and definitely we must find space because we are part of the system. Of course, it's unfortunate that we are in this era where multilateralism is under threat. And Namibia, we strongly believe on multilateralism because we know it does bring solidarity, and it's solidarity that brings us here. But I have to make it very clear that for Namibia in the international arena, we don't just take sides for the sake of taking sides. When we are taking our position, we take side for peace, we take side for fairness, we take side for integrity, and we take side for true partnership that will benefit the cities of the world in general and the people of Namibia in particular. And that is the position we see ourselves occupying in the world, global, political, and economic system.
You were recently in South Africa at the 2025 Liberation Movement Summit, and there you said statements along the lines of how African countries need to unite. And I want to quote you verbatim, Madam President. You said, evil calls for regime change by some foreign forces. Could you elaborate on what you meant by that?
Yes, I will elaborate. I have referred to Namibia being a beneficiary for multilateralism. Namibia finding ourselves where we are because of true international solidarity. And this is taking me back to our history of the liberation struggle. While we were fighting the most racist colonial regime, apartheid colonial regime of South Africa, there were those who were sympathetic to the regime that was oppressing us. And even when we finally got our independence, there are those who are unhappy. There are those who are trying to find a way how they can dictate and influence how we can manage our countries, particularly those of us who fought for our independence. And we are seeing a trend which is targeting former liberation movements, particularly in Southern Africa. During our struggle, the Southern African countries in particularly, who got independence before us, they worked as a team to the extent that they even organized themselves to what used to be called the frontline states, and Nigeria also came on board. And when we got our independence, this grouping did not disappear. Today, they are in a very strong organization, which is now for economic integration, the SADC. But we realized in the process, there has been really an onslaught on the former liberation movement. Those who are on the side of the liberation movement, we see them in countries around us. And currently, you can talk about MPLA in Angola. You talk about ZANU-PF in Zimbabwe. You talk about ANC in South Africa, Frelimo in Mozambique, and SWAPO Party in Namibia. And these are really thorny in the eyes of those who do not want us to keep our history alive and to work in the best interest of our people. And you are seeing that now and then there is some interference coming in. When we were having our elections last year, I have not seen any elections where there was such great interest by the media, including the international media. One of them has even to be has the audacity to say that if Netumbo takes over in Namibia, there's a danger because she has a mentality of liberation.
Is this Western media, Your Excellency?
There is a media that made that statement. There is a media that says that I have a mentality of liberation, and if I take over, it is not going to be good. Of course, I counterattack. I say, Namibians want to be independent. And that is why then I must be the right candidate, because I fought for the independence of this country politically, and what I wanted now is the economic independence of Namibia. So, and this is really the situation, and that's why I made that statement.
Speaking about colonialism, it has left deep scars in the African continent, and in the process of reclaiming the identity of this continent, we've seen some African states showing Western countries the exit, the boot, if you may, in the sense of foreign military presence. What do you think of this particular trend, Madam President?
You see, every country can assess their own situation and decide on the strategy they can make or the move they will make for their countries to advance. Because if the alignment which is there, the alliance which is there, they found that it's no longer serving the purpose, definitely there's no way when you have a target, when you have a vision, and you realize that remaining where I am, it will not enable me to achieve my mission, my vision. So therefore, you have to make a strategic move, and each one will be based on specific situation. And that's why some of those countries, they have to move on that direction, because I believe they have made the right analysis and they find that it's the right way to go, because you cannot just keep yourself at the same position if you are having the same results. particularly when it comes to the development of the country.
This year, Namibia has had its first commemoration of the German colonial era genocide. However, Berlin hasn't yet offered official reparations. Now, I want to find out from you, Madam President, are you satisfied, and perhaps are there any demands on the side of Namibia?
Sometimes back, a motion was passed in our parliament. It was introduced in our parliament, and it was passed. And the motion was asking that as a country, we need a day for remembrance, to remember Namibians who have died as a result of the genocide. The motion was sent to government for the government to look into history and to find the right date where we can come together as a nation and remember the Namibians who perished because of genocide. The government sent the motion back to Parliament saying, you are the representative of the people. Let the Parliament work on the matter and make a recommendation to the government. So then the Parliament came back and said a consensus has been reached that the 28th May should be put aside to be a day in which we remember our people who died as a result of genocide. So this year, we remembered them in a special manner for the first time. We were not celebrating genocide. We were remembering our people who died as a result of genocide.
Thank you, Madam President. So Namibia has been a very strong supporter of Palestinians who are going through genocide. And so when you heard the news of this ceasefire agreement, what was your reaction, Madam President? And do you think it's really going to hold?
Over the years, we have been always on the part of the people of Palestine. Every time we have been supporting them, and we will continue to support them. So, and from the time when the Israel attacked Gaza, we pronounced ourselves, to the extent that we even joined South Africa when they took this matter to the court, where now even finally the UN itself has recognized that what is happening in Gaza is really a genocide, which is so sad. In this century, no one really expected that something like that can happen. We should always encourage that international dispute must be solved through negotiation. So at least we have some relief. They are talking about a negotiation, and we are really hoping that they should reach an agreement that will protect the people of Palestine. We believe in the two-state. We believe that's the only solution to the problem of Palestine and Israel. Otherwise, it will keep going and coming back. And this is what we don't want. So we are hopeful, because that's what we've been calling for.
Do you think anyone is ever going to be held responsible, Madam President, for that genocide?
I wish the international community is strong enough to do that, because to hold someone responsible in a crime of that nature in this century, it really needs the international community coming together and agree and take the appropriate action in accordance to the international conventions and norms.
Moving right along, let's go to the United States of America. The president there has shaken the entire world with what some call a trade war. Namibia is not exempt from these sweeping tariffs. How do you think Namibia should be handling these? Or perhaps, let me say, do you have any plans on how to tackle these tariffs?
You know, it's a difficult time. It came unexpectedly, but difficult times can also make one to think out of the box. And particularly we in the South who are affected by this. And it came at the right time when Africa has just adopted the Africa Continental Free Trade Area that is encouraging Africans to trade among themselves. So we really are at an advantage position that we must now, as African, really to be serious, have a discussion among ourselves, and see how we can overcome what we are seeing, what we are experiencing economically. It might take some diver somewhere, but it's also good so that you can pick up. So that is really what I can say. We just, because you don't know when is the next move, how it's going to impact you. So, and that's why I say that it's important for Africa, because what we are seeing now is that international trade rules, they seems to be of no value. And we need now to strengthen ours as African, and then identify our true partners that we can work with.
Speaking about the true partners that you can work with, Russia and Namibia have been strengthening ties lately, Madam President, particularly in the economic and energy sector. I want to find out from you, how do you think these bilateral developments can continue to be furthered, so to speak?
Yes, Russia and Namibia, Russian people and Namibian people, we have a long history together. And it's a history that is based in true partnership. It's a history that's based in solidarity. And it's a history that comes with what one did not even expect. Came with blood, I can say that. When we were fighting in the jungles of Angola there, the Russians were with us through the Soviet Union. When we needed really to face the strongest army in the African continent then, the South African Apartheid Army, the Russians were there. They came to our aid. And even after independence, we continued. And up to now, we will continue. And we have been cooperating politically. You remember when we were having the negotiations related that led to Namibia's independence, Russia, Soviet Union was one of the countries that was really behind us, and even cautioning us as we are engaging the West, because when they finally realized that they are now reaching a point of no return, that's why they came in, and then the resolution 435 and all these things. But we remain with the Soviet Union. So we are now in the economic war. And the trust that we had for the political struggle is the same trust that we have in this economic war, which we are facing. And we will continue to strengthen cooperation between Namibia and Russia in so many sectors of the economy. Namibia is a mineral-based country. Russia have the technology. We are here talking about industrialization, where you need the energy. We have the resources, but we need technology. So we have to turn to friendly countries where we can make use of our resources to develop our country.
You did mention to me that you studied in Russia for a year, Madam President. I want to find out from you whether your time there has had any impact on you at any level whatsoever.
Definitely. In fact, my 1 year at the High Learning Consumer School, because that's where I studied, it just shaped my understanding of the people of Russia. Because before I went there, I already read a lot about the Soviet Union. I met some of the Russian people who were assisting SWAPO as a liberation movement. One time, I think if I can remember, 74, the longest flight I took, it was from Dar es Salaam to Moscow, where I attended a conference called Young Women's Conference. So when I went there for school, really, it was just really to add on that connection I have already developed with the people of Russia through the support that they've been giving us and through the reading of books. So it helped a lot. And that's why I even picked up few words in Russian, which are now disappearing, unfortunately.
That's okay, Madam President. So recently, we have seen a lot of talk around, particularly talks around BRICS, where we've been hearing a push towards Africa having a permanent voice within the UN Security Council. I want to find out from you, Madam President, particularly in the African states, in your opinion, which nation would best represent Africa at the Security Council level?
You know, we are still at the point of the principle and the decision to be taken. There is still a discussion at a very initial stage, I can say, though it has taken more than 10 years, the reform of the UN Security Council. Is there a decision, unanimous decision? That is one thing with this negotiation. You need a unanimous decision, particularly in the Security Council, because reform of the UN Security Council, it literally means amending the Charter of the United Nations. And the Charter of the United Nations is very clear that any amendment to the Charter, it needs the concurrently of all 5 permanent members of the Security Council. So why do we have to be asked at this point who is going to represent Africa when up to now the principle is not agreed? First, we must be told that yes, we agree, we are going to reform the Security Council, the permanent seat with a veto is still there, and we are also going to make it available to Africa. So now can Africa tell us that how do you make use of that position to fill it and how you make use of it? And then we come on board. So we don't want to climb the tree on top before we clear the stem here where things are still standing. But definitely we'll have once a decision is taken, the world they will know how Africa is going to make use of that permanent seat.
Which Western media has labeled it propaganda of some sort. I want to find out from you, Madam President, what are your thoughts about that?
You know, whenever you are doing something that the other one has fear of, you have to be labeled. You are now talking to me, calling me Madam President. There was a time when I was a terrorist. Because that's how I was seen by those they did not wanted what I was doing, because what I was doing is right, fighting for the independence of Namibia. So then I become a terrorist. So you shouldn't worry. The people, they know what is the truth. So they can always label you in order to discredit, in order to discourage. But the most important thing is to know that you are doing the right thing, and then you remain focused, you will succeed. And that's why I'm here today. You are saying, Madam President, this terrorist.
Indeed, Madam President. You speak of a very important statement that at some point they refer to you as a terrorist. That is the same sentiment that was echoed in South Africa when they were labeling Nelson Mandela. And then at the beginning of this interview, Madam President, you mentioned that the former liberation movements are being targeted. Who is targeting them?
Those who are not happy with what we are doing.
Is it the West, Madam President?
Those who are not happy, they are very, very, very uncomfortable. And you see them doing so many funny things. It really played a role because for some of us, when now, because it was part of the package of the GSTV, and then at one point disappeared. We were asking ourselves, because that is where you'll be able to get balanced information. The Western media, I have to tell you, they have their own way of balancing because they have their message that they want to put there. So that's why the Russia Today has to come in order to balance the information that the world is getting. We need that balance. You cannot just get information from one source. You must get information from all sources, and then you'll be able to read between the lines, and you know what is happening in the world.
All right, on that note, Madam President,
I really sincerely wish them a happy anniversary. I must say, especially here in Namibia, you know, for some times I have been a Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, and there are people who are asking me what happened. They want to listen. Happy anniversary. Continue to give them information that will enlighten our people. We started with the geopolitics, and the way the geopolitics is now, we'll end up getting in the situation of the survival of the fittest. But countries like ours, small as we are, we would really want to be informed, and RT is one channel that can give us information that will empower us and enable us to develop right strategies that will enable us to survive in this world of tension, conflict, and anything that you can describe. But we are not losing hope. We are seeing it as a wave that is going to pass, and then we will build on it for future generations to appreciate the current generation, if not condemn it, if we do not do things, if we do not do things properly.
Thank you, Africa, Mama Africa. Oh, yeah. You make Africa great. Thank you, Africa. Thank you, Africa.